We're going to open the show with this Harbaugh-Day story, which it was a rumor, but it's now been confirmed that Harbaugh did call out Day on a Big Ten coaches conference call. Apparently, Day was talking about on-field activities, and the Michigan coach, Jim Harbaugh, referenced a picture that had been posted by Al Washington, who was once an assistant for Jim Harbaugh, but now is an assistant for Day. He's a Columbus kid, and he went back to Ohio State, of him working with some players and a blocking sled, and the players had masks on. So it wasn't like this picture was from 2019 or 2018 or whatever. It wasn't unless it was photoshopped, which I suppose is possible. And Harbaugh called him out and said, "You're doing something you're not allowed to be doing." And Day, according to John Jansen, responded with, "I'll worry about my team." Now, the report that got out there said, "I'll worry about my team, you worry about yours." And then the follow-up was either Day had said on the conference call or just told his team later about what happened and said, "We're going to hang 100 on him." Look, man, the thing about this story is much of the reaction that comes out from Michigan fans is just beat them. Like, enough. Just beat them. 0-5 against Ohio State is unacceptable. It's not what was expected. And this is understandable frustration coming from the Michigan fan base. But the question is, if he saw, or if any coach sees any team that is circumventing the rules, should they call them out? Should they be called out? And it's funny because I brought this up, and Khang, you and I were talking about this before the show, and you mentioned that a topic came up somewhat similar to this last week with Gator when I was off.
Yeah, Bryson DeChambeau was arguing with officials or asking for confirmation or trying to get a ruling on where his ball laid, and it was by an anthill, and he was saying it's like, some kind of rule that says if it's by an animal or an animal's nesting. I don't know, whatever it was. He was trying to see if the rules could be put in his favor. Okay? Yeah. He didn't like where the ball was laying. So we took calls on when have you you knew the rule, was it cheap or not, you used it to your advantage at some point, right? And one story that came up that stuck with me was there was a college hockey coach, and he was coaching his kids'
college
teams. Oh, I'm sorry, not college. It was youth, okay?
This is somebody who called in last week.
Yes.
Okay.
And his kid was in a tournament like up north Michigan or west side of Michigan, and they were playing a pretty good team. And he had noticed the goalie on the other team through other games was something he wore. It was like an equipment or uniform violation, okay? But no one had called him out on it the entire tournament.
Right.
They were down a goal, and I think maybe going into the third period, he went to the ref and said, "Hey, that goalie over there is not supposed to be wearing those pads or that color, whatever it was, that violation." It was a violation. They had to pull the goalie. They ended up tying it and going into overtime and winning. Okay, now, is that cheap? Is that not cheap? It was a rule violation. And so that when this Harbaugh-Day thing comes up, and whether, you want to call it, just, sour grapes or cheap or whatever, he brought up what he thought was a rule violation. And so that got me to thinking those two. Is that similar at all?
Look, the crowd that just says just beat him is right. I mean,
of course.
But here on, August 6th, I checked the schedule. They don't play today. So when they do play, yes, just beat them. And maybe you don't care about anything else. But, and perhaps it's not the forum to bring it up. But I always am amazed, like when other schools, and this is just more of a general, accuse the SEC or accuse Alabama or somebody of cheating, so many people rush to the defense of the cheater. Say, it's just sour grapes. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But if you, in any case, okay, if there's an accusation, does it warrant an investigation? And, that's part of this storyline. Now, is it his frustration with the fact that he can't beat him coming out here? Or is this a little bit of the what's your deal, Jim Harbaugh? The guy that was considered, had, so much swagger and was so cocky coming into Michigan and seemed to have used that to his benefit. With the stuff like the run-in with Pete Carroll and the run-in with Jim Schwartz, when he was having great success, he seemed to have a swagger that rubbed people the wrong way. I don't know. I'm asking the question.
Do you think, and this is just your opinion, of course, do you think this is something Jim would bring up if he was 5-0 against Ohio State?
That's a great question, and my first gut reaction is no. It's a really, really good question and kind of telling. Do you remember my ethical cheating question? I brought this up on the air once.
No.
Okay. My oldest son was about probably 11 or 12. He was playing in a baseball tournament. The head coach had two teams, and the way the tournament went, the two teams ended up playing at the same time. So I was given the reins, the duty of coaching the team, right? And I'm down in the third base coaching box. And this 11 or 12-year-old catcher is giving the signs to the pitcher. And you're supposed to, give the signs with your hands, like way back, for lack of a better term, in your crotch area where nobody can see but the pitcher. Well, he was holding his hand out by his knees in front where I'm in the coaching box, like I'm coaching at third, and I'm seeing one fastball. I'm seeing him 4 fingers waving for change up. And I'm like, I can see this kid's signs. Now, we were in the dugout discussing, all right, we know the signs. Do we tell our kids? The old, if I use your name, it's a fastball. If I use your number, it's a changeup. Do you do that? And that was the ethical question. Am I taking advantage of a 12-year-old kid, or am I taking advantage of a 12-year-old kid's coach who had him giving the signs where people could see him?
You guys didn't want to use the bang on the trash can method?
We did not.
Okay. Because that's what I would have used.
Yeah.
Timmy,
So-
you know what happens when I bang the trash can, right?
We had an ethical debate. Me and the other guy, it was other dad that was helping out. Do we steal this kid's signs because we can see them? Is this us taking advantage of a kid or taking advantage of a coach?
And what'd you guys do?
We stole them.
Hey, as long as you don't use any electric equipment, right, or technology, you're good.
Anyway,
Did you tell the team after?
No. I wondered if I should go tell the coach. Hey, man, your kid.
I would have told them well, I don't know. They might have been pissed. Whatever.
Yeah. 248-539-9797. Ticket text to the same number. All right. So in the case of Jim Harbaugh, Michigan fans, do you want him blowing the whistle on Ohio State? Or is this just an example of his frustration coming out, in your opinion? And, Khang, when you ask that question, if he's 5-0 against Ohio State, does he say this? And my first instinct is no. But I also bristle a little bit personally whenever there's an accusation of cheating, and it seems like a lot of people, not everybody, but some people want to rush to the defense of the accused. Hey, just look into it. What were the pictures? Were they indeed